Yeah, we back. Yeah, we back. Now, today's gonna be the follow-up from the video last night, where in that video we spoke about how the president of the Congo had sent an envoy to Mali as well as Chad. Now today I said I was gonna do a follow-up, basically speaking about why I believe that the United States betrayed Paul Kagame. And yes, I would classify it as a betrayal, because as we know, for the longest time, the United States has been one of Kagame's biggest supporters, right? One of his biggest backers. So today, to turn around and sanction your man in front of the entire world, to me, if I was Paul Kagame, I would feel betrayed, absolutely. But in today's video, we're gonna talk about why I believe the United States actually made that move. But before we get into that, man, you already know, album out now. Album available everywhere. Apple Music, Spotify. Go to the homepage on my YouTube channel in my playlist section, Sahel 1816. Enjoy yourself, man. Let's get back into it. Now, in today's video, we're really going to be analyzing the geopolitical landscape, because what we see happening here is geopolitical warfare at a high level. Now, like you already know, like I said in my video the other day, Kagame's right-hand man, James Kabarebe, received sanctions from the United States government. Now, of course, James Kabarebe is a man of high status, which means that he probably has everything he needs to live like a king inside of Rwanda. But the problem is, like most African politicians, I guarantee he most definitely has assets, businesses, family members, and friends overseas, living abroad, most likely living in the West. And because of these sanctions, unfortunately, he no longer has the ability to access any Western banks. He's not even allowed to do business in US currency, which means that he can get money, but he can't get no dollars, right? And on top of that, you're not even allowed to do business or conduct business with anybody else who gets money in dollars, right? So you can't even do business with this guy or go into any type of deals with him. Or if you got an investment, if you're a family or friend, hey, James, I got this business idea, bro, come invest. He can't even come invest. He can't even send money no more, right? So if you got family and friends living abroad, you can't even support them in the way that you once did. Now, in my video yesterday, I was making jokes. I was saying, oh, if he got a side chick in Miami, he can't even see the side chick no more. But in reality, this might be serious, right? Because if he got a daughter, he's sending money to his daughter going to school in a Western university. She might lose her scholarship, probably get a visa revoked, have to come back to Rwanda. It could get really embarrassing for the family. And of course, if you got any property in your name overseas, right? Oh, they're gonna come take that, right? They're gonna come take that. I remember they had sanctioned this one Haitian senator. Man, he was living in a big mansion. I forget where, but a big mansion, like $5 million mansion. How you get that mansion, bro? They came and seized the mansion. Embarrassed the whole family. But in today's video, I'm going to be giving my reasons why nations like the United States, one of Kagame's biggest supporters, one of his biggest cheerleaders, one of his biggest backers, why did they turn on Kagame in such a way? Let's talk about it. Now, for the longest time that I could remember, for most of my life, Kagame has always had a solid and friendly relationship with the United States. And that's in all sectors, from military cooperation, economic cooperation. Rwanda has always been seen as a stable and a reliable ally. And not only that, but the United States has poured billions into Rwanda, right? Billions into Rwanda when it comes to sectors such as health, medicine, military, security, climate and energy, banking, manufacturing, a variety of sectors, right? So to turn around and sanction one of your close friends, we got to understand, what is the psychology of the United States? Now, before I dive deep, I'm going to give you the short answer. The geopolitical landscape is changing very fast. Now, like I said before, back in the day, Kagame was untouchable, right? Back during the late 90s, early 2000s, Kagame was untouchable, right? The first Congo wars, take a look up on the screen. 250,000 people dead, light work. And guess what happened? No sanctions. Nobody said a word, right? Bill Clinton ain't said a damn thing. George Bush ain't said a damn thing. They gave Kagame more money, right? They gave Kagame more money. Second Congo wars, 5 million people dead, light work. Guess what happened? Nothing. No sanctions. They gave Kagame more money. Now, of course, if you see all of this happening and then the United States turn around and give you more money, that shows that they gave you a stamp of approval, right? Them doing business with you, them giving you all this money and support and praise and adulation, that was their stamp of approval for what you were doing, right? So back in the day, right, it was no issue, it was no problem, right? Now, ironically enough, right, it wasn't until Obama was in office that you really started to see, you know, folks take a step back like, hold up, bro, hold up. If you remember, in the last incarnation of the Eastern Congolese rebellion that occurred back in 2012, of course, that was backed by Kagame, right? I believe it was Obama that actually cut off the military aid and actually told Kagame directly, hey, chill out, man. You know, chill out, bro. You over there bugging out. Take a look up on the screen. This was over a decade ago. The United States blocks military aid to Rwanda over alleged backing of M23 child soldiers. That was back on Obama. The US President Barack Obama has stressed to Rwandan President Paul Kagame the importance of permanently ending all support to rebels in the neighboring Democratic Republic of the Congo. And when Obama said that, Kagame fell back. Them boys fell into the shadows. They went into hibernation. Now, of course, they back again. And now we see the United States actually taking direct action. Well, sort of direct action by actually not sanctioning Kagame himself, right? But sanctioning Kagame's right-hand man, James Kabarebe. Now, of course, James Kabarebe is one of Kagame's closest confidants, one of his closest military allies. That's one of his right-hand mans. That's one of his top shooters, right? James Kabarebe, that's one of Kagame's top shooters. Now, going back to what I said about the geopolitical landscape is changing, and Kagame might find himself a victim of that. Now, like I mentioned in my video last night, President Felix Tshisekedi, the president of the Congo, had reached out to a couple nations in particular and actually directly asked one for military assistance, and one of those was Chad. And he also sent an envoy to the president of Mali, General Assimi Goïta. As you can see, take a look up on the screen. And one thing we got to understand is the adversary takes note of everything, right? So when you see the president of the Congo going to meet President Assimi Goïta, right? And when you see the president of the Congo going to the president of Chad, and the president of Chad, who also has very friendly relations with the president of Niger, where the United States got kicked out of their $100 million drone base just last year, they take note of all of these things. They take into account all of these things when they make their geopolitical decisions. And then when you see the president of Chad taking Instagram photos with Vladimir Putin, now time out, disclaimer, I don't really like saying that guy's name on my channel. I don't really like saying his country either. So when I refer to him, I'm just gonna simply say the boys from Moscow. So when I say that, you know, I'm talking about, you know, them boys from Russia, right? I don't like saying that country's name or that guy's name on my channel. I feel like I'm gonna get demonetized for some reason or get my channel deleted. But anyway, let's continue. Now, going back to how the United States betrayed Paul Kagame. Now, nobody should be surprised because we've seen the United States betray France, one of their longtime allies, one of their allies who they've been cooperating with for over 200 years. We've seen them betray France just a couple years ago, right? Let's talk about it. Take a look up on the screen. This article came out last year. France and the United States relations grow tense over the coup in Niger, right? When the military government in Niger took over the government, right? They said relations between the United States and France began to grow tense. And you already know when it comes to France and the United States, they ride together. They do their crimes together. So if France getting money, if France is doing some criminality, you know the United States right there doing it with them. But look what it said in the headline. French officials are frustrated that their American counterparts have been willing to engage with the military government that overthrew Niger's president, right? So during this time, France was going around saying, listen, these guys are illegitimate. They overthrew the democratically elected president. We do not acknowledge them as the sovereign rulers of Niger, right? These guys are frauds. These guys overthrew the president, and the president must be reinstated immediately, right? So France was going around rallying their allies, getting everybody on one accord. Let's sanction these guys. Let's stomp them out. Let's starve them out. And for the most part, everybody was on board. The European Union as a whole, as one bloc, sanctioned one country, right? An entire block of nations representing an entire continent sanctioned one country. Nobody died. Nobody got hurt. Nobody got shot. An entire continent sanctioned one country. But the United States was one of the only nations that was like, hold up, bro. Hold up. Time out. Let's talk about this, bro. Hold on. I understand you're upset. I understand you're upset about what happened in Niger, but you got to understand, man. You got to understand, brother. I just installed a $100 million drone base over there, bro. I invested a lot of money over there. I don't really want to lose that right now, bro. Like I still want to maintain my drone base. Like that's my little project over there. Like I know you're upset. I know it's bad, but maybe we could talk it out with these guys. And France was like, no, bro, we're not talking it out with these guys. These guys are illegitimate. They overthrew the democratically elected government. They trampled over the values of democracy, and they must be removed. And the United States was like, yeah, bro, I hear you. I hear what you're saying, and I totally agree. But you got to understand, but see, my drone base, right? See, I've been working on this drone base for the longest time, bro. And I really I think you're being emotional about it. And basically what the United States was trying to say is that, yes, I understand you want to sanction Niger, but when it comes to my national interest, it's in my best interest to maintain good relations with the new rulers in charge of Niger, right? Yes, they took over the government. Yes, they overthrew democracy. I hear you. But I still want to maintain relations because I have some economic interest on the table. And that's exactly what the United States did. Take a look up on the screen. The two countries are at odds over how to respond to the ouster of the West African country's president back in July. France is refusing to diplomatically engage with the military government and strongly supports a regional body that has threatened military intervention. The United States has dispatched an envoy to meet with the military government leadership, right? So you see, France was going around, listen, sanction them boys. We got to invade the country. We got to destroy the country. And the United States dispatched an envoy to have a personal private meeting. Listen, they betrayed their 200-year ally France, right? They've been allies since the 1800s, since the 1700s, right? And they betrayed France just to maintain relations with Niger. Now let's continue. The stakes for France and Niger are much higher than for Washington. It's a psychological and strategic defeat for France, said Cameron Hudson, a former White House National Security Council official focused on Africa. In West Africa, France is accustomed to seeing other world powers follow their lead, or at least its guidance. That is not happening in this case, right? So you see, the United States turned their back on France when the military government in Niger came to power. So if you see them turn their back on a 200-year ally, then you realize Paul Kagame is nothing in the grand scheme of things when it comes to the United States. They'll betray their day one homies from the 1700s. So who is Paul Kagame? Like, what the hell is a Paul Kagame, bro? Take a look up on the screen. This was a press release by the United States government back on March 12, 2024. United States officials traveled to Niger. Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs Mali Fee and Assistant Secretary of Defense for International Security Affairs Celeste Wallander and the AFRICOM Commander General Michael Langley will travel to Niger from March 12th to March 13th to continue ongoing discussions since August with the leaders of the National Council for Safeguarding the Homeland, the CNSP, that's the military government, regarding Niger's return to a democratic path and the future of our security and development partnership. Right? So while France was going crazy, with smoke coming out their ears, talking about we got to invade the country, the United States was coming respectful, polite. Hey, bro, can I still come back to the drone base? You know what I'm saying? Hey, bro, you still gonna let me get the drone base? Unfortunately for the United States, right? Unfortunately, take a look up on the screen. This article came out March 16, 2024, just a couple of days after that meeting. Niger revokes the military accord with the United States. Ha! My God. They betrayed France and they still got kicked out the country, right? They turned their back on France and they still lost all their economic interest in the country. Take a look up on the screen. The United States fears Russia's influence in Africa after Niger's military government cancels the security pact. United States military operations across the Sahel are at risk as Niger breaks off the military cooperation. Now, back to Kagame, right? Why does it seem like the sanctions and the condemnations are just coming in from all sides when it comes to Kagame? To me, the answer is simple. If you force the hand of nations to choose, if they have to choose between Rwanda and the DRC and the Congo in terms of maintaining relations for long-term reasons, strategic reasons, geopolitical reasons, they're going to choose the DRC every single time. The DRC is just too much of a strategic asset, right? If you saw the United States go against France just to maintain relations with Niger because they saw that Niger was just too much of a strategic asset to let go, right? So the United States was scared to really flex their muscle on Niger because they didn't want to damage that relationship. And when it comes to the geopolitical interests of the Western nations, it is in their best interest to make sure that the Congo remains within the Western sphere of influence, to make sure that the Congo doesn't fall into the China-Russia bloc, right? Like some other nations on the continent, right? Like the nations in the Sahel. That would be their worst nightmare. If the DRC fell with the China-Russia bloc and left the Western bloc, that would be their worst nightmare, bro. You saw how they were scrambling when they lost the uranium mines, right? The corporation went bankrupt in less than 6 months, right? So imagine if the Congo fell out of their sphere of influence. Man, they wouldn't be able to sleep at night. So when they see images of Congolese politicians going to the Sahel, man, that gives them nightmares, bro. That gives them nightmares just seeing them images. Just imagine, just the thought of a leader in the Congo doing the same as the brothers in the Sahel in the AES. In the same way they took back the uranium mines, the same way they took back the gold mines, in the same way they arrested the CEOs, the same way they was chasing down the multinational corporations. The Western nations cannot afford to lose the Congo in the same way they lost the Sahel. They cannot afford to do it. It's too crucial of an asset. It's way too important, bro. It's way beyond what we understand. So in this situation, even though, yes, Kagame is a longtime ally, stable, reliable partner, very trustworthy, man, he does everything we need, right? If we got a peacekeeping mission, he's going to send his troops, right? If we got immigrants that we don't want, we can send them to Rwanda, right? But in the minds of the Western nations, they're sitting back thinking like, if I got to choose between maintaining my relationship with Kagame or Rwanda and protecting Rwanda, if protecting Rwanda means that the DRC might go closer to China and Russia, then I'm going to cut off. I don't care about Kagame. Like that's the mentality, right? They're sitting back in their minds doing the calculations, right? If I have to protect Rwanda, if I got to protect Kagame, and that means that the DRC is going to move closer or trend closer to the China-Russia bloc, then I'm just going to cut Kagame off. Like it's tough luck. You know, Kagame, I'm going to sanction Kagame. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sanction Kagame because I cannot let go of the DRC. I cannot afford to lose the DRC. You see, we lost the Sahel. The Sahel is gone, but we cannot afford to lose the DRC. Now, let's get into this article that recently came out of the New York Times, I think either today or yesterday. In his first interview since an armed group backed by Rwanda seized swaths of his country's territory this year, Felix Tshisekedi, the president of the Congo, offered the United States and Europe a stake in his country's vast mineral wealth, a sector currently dominated by China. Congo is considered to be among the world's wealthiest countries in terms of natural resources. It provides much of the world's coltan, which is used to power smartphones and computers. It also holds more than half of the world's cobalt reserves used in electric vehicles. China currently has far greater access to Congo's mineral wealth than the United States, while the European Union has negotiated with Rwanda, agreeing to give it about $935 million in return for the access to the minerals like tin and tungsten and gold, right? So as you can see, China already been creeping into the Congo on a low key over the past, few years. Let's continue. The Trump administration has already shown interest in a deal that could ensure a stream of strategic minerals directly from the Congo. He also touted new investments in major Congolese projects, including a mega dam that, if completed, would be the world's largest hydroelectric plant. Analysts say the United States could go much further, for instance, by pushing the World Bank to cut Rwanda's funding, much of which is provided by the United States government, and by reviewing Rwanda's lucrative role as a supplier of troops to peacekeeping missions. Now, like I said before, there's different types of warfare, right? You got physical warfare on the battlefield, combat. You have economic warfare, you have diplomatic warfare, you have propaganda warfare. And in this conflict between the Congo and Rwanda, all forms of warfare are at play. You got physical warfare, combat, you got black men getting killed, getting shot and killed every single day, dying on the battlefield. You got innocent civilians getting hit by stray bullets, everything. And of course, you got economic warfare and diplomatic warfare. Now, it seems that Kagame is mainly going on the offensive in terms of physical warfare. But on the other side, it seems that the Congolese authorities have been going 100 miles per hour when it comes to the economic warfare and the diplomatic warfare. I would say the biggest move that was made by the Congolese authorities was when they shut down the Congolese airspace and they banned all Rwandan aircrafts from their airspace. So a military aircraft, a commercial aircraft that is registered in Rwanda is not allowed to fly over Congolese airspace. They got to go the long way. They got to go around, right? Extra 2-3 hours. That right there is already going to be a major hit to the economy, right? Everything's going to be more expensive just because of that. And on top of that, the airline company is going to experience major losses because why am I going to spend money with you when it's going to take me longer to get to my destination? And the tickets are probably higher just to make up for the extra cost in gas and operation costs. No, I'm going to go to somebody else. Or if you're a business owner and you're engaged in import-export, it's going to take you longer to get your merchandise out or get your merchandise in. So you're going to have to charge the customer more money. Now, on top of that, because like I said, Congo is such a strategic asset, even though just last year, Rwanda had signed an agreement with the European Union to be a major supplier of critical minerals coming from the Congo, the majority of member states in the European Union actually voted to take action and sanction Rwanda and terminate the agreement that they just signed last year.
Well, I am coming out of what is called the monitoring group, which is actually a meeting where we look at the application of certain trades between different countries. And it was a monitoring group dedicated to the application of the agreement made between the European Union on February 19th, 2024, which is exactly 1 year ago, agreement between the European Union and Rwanda. And this agreement, as you know, has been talked about for several weeks. It is cited as one of the reasons for the massacres in the Democratic Republic of Congo. This agreement concerns strategic minerals. I am not allowed to tell you what happened in this meeting, and I will not tell you, as I respect the rules of Parliament, even if I regret them. But I can simply tell you one thing, which is that I had made certain serious accusations for several weeks against the country. I had denounced a situation where Europe was becoming complicit of possession of stolen goods.
Now, as we all know, Rwanda has positioned itself as one of the key suppliers to the Western supply chains when it comes to having access to certain strategic minerals that are needed to power up the Western economies. Over the past decade, I believe that China has been making inroads into the Congo. So to me, it seems that Rwanda served as a way to counter Chinese influence in the region. And that way, the Western nations, in particular, the European nations, equally have access to the critical minerals in the area. So basically, Kagame was running a middleman economy. Like I said before, Kagame was the middleman, right? It was just like France and Niger, right? France didn't have any uranium in France, in their own country, right? They didn't have this large supply of uranium. No, they didn't produce any uranium. But what they did control was the CFA franc currency. And they used the CFA franc currency, which they printed up in the central bank, to buy the uranium from Niger for pennies on the dollar. And then they resold it across Europe at massive profits, right? So France was the middleman for the uranium coming out of Niger. Now, unfortunately for France, as we all know, they got kicked out of the uranium mines. They no longer have access to the uranium, right? And the corporation damn near collapsed in less than 6 months. They went bankrupt. They had to get a bailout from the government. Now they shopping around, going to Kazakhstan and Malaysia and all type of random countries, begging for uranium, begging to have access to the uranium in the ground. And in the same way that France was the middleman for the uranium, Kagame was the middleman for the various natural resources that was available in the Congo. Smuggle the minerals over the border, resell them across Europe. And not only Europe, but also, we're going to send some to the Middle East as well, right? So the Arab going to get a piece as well. But now in this instance, like I showed you in the article that just came out, in another act of warfare, the president of the Congo, Felix Tshisekedi, is actually going around to Kagame's economic partners, right? And basically telling them, listen, you don't got to go to him for the minerals, bro. You can come directly to me, right? You don't got to talk to him behind my back and all that, bro. If you want the minerals, you could just come talk directly to me, bro. It's funny because that's exactly what Niger did to France, right? They cut out the middleman, right? If you remember, I did a video a few weeks ago entitled The Uranium Hustle Exposed, where Niger basically was saying, listen, if you used to go to France to buy the uranium that they resold on the market, you don't got to go to France no more. You could just come directly to me, right? You could come directly to the plug. You can come directly to the source. You don't got to go to the middleman. If you need it that bad, you could come directly to me, right? And I'll sell it to you for market price. You see, France was getting it for pennies on the dollar. I'm going to sell it for a profit. So in this same instance, this is actually another level of economic warfare against Kagame, because what the president of the Congo is trying to do is cut out the middleman, right? And by cutting out the middleman, you are basically cutting off his economic oxygen. That is what the president of Congo is trying to do, right? Because he cannot go toe to toe at the moment in terms of hopping on the battlefield, engaging in battle, right? What he is doing is saying this, listen, I'm not going to fight you head up, right? I'm not going to fight you, but I'm going to cut off your oxygen. I'm going to cut off your economic oxygen. And one thing about a military campaign, you need money to go to war, right? So if you don't got money to support the war effort, eventually you're going to lay down your arms. Right. So that's why he's going around to his sponsors. I'm knocking on your sponsors. I'm going to your donors. I'm going to your backers. Right. And I'm telling them, listen, stop sending the money. Hey, listen, cut off the agreement. Listen, stop going to him. Come directly to me. Right. He's cutting off your economic oxygen. He got a noose around your neck and he's tightening the noose. That's what he's doing, economically speaking, diplomatically speaking. When he cut off the airspace, he was attacking Kagame's tourism sector. Now he's trying to cut off Kagame's access to the minerals. Now he's trying to eliminate Kagame's value in the eyes of his economic partners by saying, you don't got to go to him as the main supplier. You could come directly to me now. And you want to know what's so funny, right? You want to know what's so funny? The United States had actually sanctioned 2 individuals besides Kagame's right-hand man, James Kabarebe. I believe the second guy they sanctioned, a high-ranking member in M23, that guy has a mining company in his name, right? He has a mining company in his name based in Europe. And in fact, that was actually one of the entities that was sanctioned by the United States Treasury. So in summary, when you see the United States turning their back on Kagame, the reason why they're doing that is because they're trying to gain favor with the Congo, right? They don't want the Congo to fall in to the China-Russia bloc, right? They don't want the other nations, the other world powers to come in and gain influence in the region and kick them out the region the same way they got kicked out of other regions on the continent, right? You see, when it comes to the continent of Africa, it's like a beautiful woman. Everybody wants a piece. Everybody wants her, right? Everybody wants her. And the Congo is the most coveted area. So like I said, the Western powers will easily throw Kagame in the garbage just to maintain good relations with the Congo, because the Congo is simply that important when it comes to international affairs, when it comes to the global economy. The Congo is simply that important. They'll do anything to maintain a sphere of influence, right? And like y'all say, right, y'all be saying Trump is a businessman, so all he looks at is the numbers, right? Just 1 + 1 = 2, right? Am I gonna let the DRC fall into the hands of Russia or China or the other world powers? No. Goodbye, Kagame. It is what it is. Kagame was always simply a middleman. He was always simply a go-between. That's all he was. But if we can go directly to the source, bro, I don't gotta waste my time, bro. And listen, I know the Kagame fan club is gonna try to downplay that, but that's gonna have a major impact. All these sanctions, listen, it's gonna have a major impact on Kagame, right? I mean, Rwanda is already a small economy, right? They already have a GDP that's smaller than most countries, right? I believe Haiti has a larger GDP than Rwanda. And once you remove the revenue from the minerals, what are you left with? I mean, tourism and agriculture. The tourism and the agriculture is not going to be able to replace the minerals, right? That's why they had to raise the taxes recently in the height of all the sanctions and limitations and getting banned from the airspace. The average citizen is going to feel the brunt of the economic impact. And you know what's funny? You remember the other day, Kagame had cut off economic relations with Belgium when Belgium had threatened to sanction him. But to me, that was nothing, because Belgium was one of Kagame's most insignificant donors, like one of their smallest backers. Like, I was like, man, I wanted to see if he was going to cut economic relations with the United States after getting sanctioned by the United States. And as of right now, I haven't seen any action taken on that front. See, how come Kagame was acting big and bad against Belgium, but how come when Trump sanctioned his man, how come he didn't stand up like a man and start beating on his chest and start talking about sovereignty and dignity? You see, when Belgium sanctioned him, he was like, listen, this is my sovereignty. You're not going to bully me. But how come when Trump sanctioned you, how come you're not talking big and bad? You ain't beating your chest and stomping your feet. Listen, the boy's been exposed, man. The boy's been exposed. But honestly, man, if you see all these sanctions going down and all this political maneuvering taking place, do not give the credit to the president of the Congo, Felix Tshisekedi. You got to give the credit to the Minister of Foreign Affairs. I don't know her name. I think her name is Teresa. She's the one who's been stomping on Kagame's neck. It's not Felix Tshisekedi. It's not President Felix. He's not the one going around putting in the work. She's the one putting in the work. When you see them sanctions coming down, when you see them deals getting terminated, it's because of the work that she putting in.
I welcome the fact that the Council has recognized Rwanda's responsibility for the violation of our sovereignty and our territorial integrity, as well as the violence currently unfolding in Goma. However, words have not been enough to end the human suffering and the aggression and onslaught on Goma. It is now time for the Security Council to act. We demand 5 immediate actions, very actionable and very precise. Firstly, the unconditional withdrawal of Rwandan troops from sovereign Congolese territory. There is no path to sustainable, peaceful resolution without this crucial step.
Now, listen, she went to the Security Council and said that you must demand immediately that Kagame's troops withdraw from the territory. And guess what happened today? Take a look at this headline that just came out. The UN Security Council demands Rwanda withdraw troops from the Eastern Congo. Like I said, man, the Congo is simply way too important. It's simply way too strategic. And that simply shows you how much leverage the Congo really has when it comes to international affairs, man. All she had to do was go to the Security Council and say, listen, demand that Rwanda leave the territory. The Security Council was like, yes, no problem. Yes, whatever you want.
Secondly, it is imperative that the Council introduces sanctions targeting the command structure of the Rwandan Defense Forces to undermine its ability to wage war against the DRC and its people.
Now, as you already know, this is not coming from the Security Council, but this is coming from the United States government. They came out themselves directly and sanctioned the high-ranking command structure of not only the M23, but also the Rwandan government and James Kabarebe, right? One of the high-ranking Rwandan elites. One of the high-ranking Rwandan elites. One of the big dogs in Rwandan society. Now, like I said, everything that you see happening is simply geopolitical maneuvering. Everybody trying to guard their interests. If you ask me, the reason why the Western nations, it seems like, are strengthening the defense of the Congo, while simultaneously it seems like they're giving Kagame the cold shoulder, is because I believe that they want to maintain Congo within their sphere of influence, right? They don't want Congo to slip out of their grasp entirely, similar to how the Sahel slipped out of their grasp entirely, right? Their worst nightmare is getting kicked out of the Congo in the same way that we're kicked out of the Sahel. Because getting kicked out of the Sahel was already devastating enough, right? You had multinational corporations that went bankrupt. You had drone bases that got shut down. You got CEOs that got arrested, got locked up in an African prison. You had companies that collapsed, losing 40% of their market share. I mean, it was a very big geopolitical shakeup when the Western nations lost control of the Sahel. Now imagine what it would look like if the Congo went through something similar. And of course, if I'm just a regular guy and I can see it clearly with my own two eyes, then you don't think these guys have political analysts that are analyzing the landscape and can see these things too, that can see the trend too? If the Western nations had ran to Kagame's defense and isolated the Congo, and if the Congo decided to turn away from the Western nations, that would have been one of the biggest geopolitical losses in modern history, bro. They would have been having insomnia, diarrhea, sleepless nights. It would have been bad, bro. It would have been very bad. I'll be honest, man. I'll be honest. The Congo is not a nation that you want to go to diplomatic war with, right? You know, physical warfare, that's fine. You want to invade the country, occupy some cities. But when it comes to diplomatic warfare, that's not really an opponent that you want to go toe-to-toe with. They simply have too much leverage on the international stage. Right? You have way too much leverage. It's not even fair. It's not even fair to go toe-to-toe with you, bro. Like, you have too much. You got too much. See, Kagame, he was the middleman, but the Congo, that's the real plug, though. That's the real source. It's not the same. Now, eventually, I do believe in my heart of hearts that the Congo one day is going to produce a leader that is going to assume full control and sovereignty and authority of the entire territory. I do believe that the Congo is going to produce a leader that is going to revitalize the military, that is going to rejuvenate the economy, that is going to secure the borders, that is going to review and take control of the mining sector. Yes, I do believe it'll happen. Now, to be honest, I don't believe it's simply enough to simply cut out Kagame as the middleman and simply take over as the supplier for the minerals. No, you got to take back control of the mining sector. Now, of course, the minerals belong to you. So listen, I can't tell you what to do with the minerals, bro. They're your minerals, right? They're yours. They're not mine. And I respect that. But all I'm saying is that the sectors of security, military, as well as the mining sector should be the top priorities for any leader in the Congo, right? Secure your borders, secure your assets. Long story short. And basically, that's what it is, man. That's the reason why the United States betrayed Kagame, right? That's the reason why. Trump, like they say Trump a businessman, so Trump made a business decision and said, who is more valuable in the long term? Who is more strategic in the long term, right? Whose friendship is more valuable in the long term? And he decided that I'm gonna go with the Congo, right? It's no emotions in it. No emotions in it. He just simply made an economic decision. Like I told you in a video yesterday, it had nothing to do with human rights and justice. No, bro. No, I told you it was definitely something lying below the surface. And this is what it is, right? So instead of going to Kagame as the middleman for the minerals, now the customers, they want to go directly to the Congo now. And on top of that, they were already embarrassed in front of the world because everybody was like, what? You signed a deal with a country to buy something from them that they don't even have? So they had to go steal it from somebody else to sell it to you? So now they're looking bad, right? Now they got to clean up their image. They got to defend their image. So now they're like, okay, fine. All right, fine. We'll cut out Kagame. We could just go directly to you. And that's going to be a devastating blow to Kagame's economy. That's going to be a devastating blow to Kagame's whole entire operation. And listen, if you are a Kagame fanboy, at this point, if you are supporting Kagame smuggling the minerals and sending it off to Europe and the Middle East, then you have no room to criticize the Congolese government deciding to sell their own minerals to the same individuals, right? Instead of going to the middleman, they just going directly to the source, right? So if you are supporting and cheerleading for Kagame still in the minerals, then you have no room to criticize the Congolese government cutting Kagame out the equation and selling directly to the customer. Now, if you ask me, I don't believe that any of these nations should have access to what belongs to us, to what the Most High, God, Allah, whatever you believe in, blessed us with. That belongs to us, and we should keep it within our borders. And if we do sell it off to somebody else, it better be going for market price. It better be going off for a major profit. To me, that's fine, right? Because Rwanda was actually selling it off at a discount price, right? They were going to Rwanda because they were getting it at a low price because Kagame was getting it for free, right? So obviously you can sell something for a very low price because you're getting it for free. But now if you cut the middleman out of the equation and you sell it for market rate, right? And on top of that, you collect taxes on the revenue. That's a better situation to be in than having it smuggled out of your borders, no taxes being paid. You know, they stealing the revenue from the government, right? But yeah, man, that's what it is, man. That's the real reason why. That's the true reason why the Trump administration, as well as some other Western nations, are rallying behind the Congo, right? Because the Congo simply has way too much leverage, man. The Congo is way too important. It's way too strategic. It's simply just way too strategic, bro. The Congo is like that beautiful girl that everybody wants a piece of, man. And they will stop at nothing until they're able to get that beautiful girl. And to be honest, man, my only word of advice that I would give to Kagame, because it's definitely some more sanctions on the way. It's definitely some more penalties on the way. Diversify your economy, big bro. Diversify your economy, because this simply cannot go on forever, right? You know, every 7 years, every 10 years, you know, you restart the conflict all over again, you know, destabilize the Congo, steal the minerals, resell it to the West. That hustle is not gonna last, man. And it seems like they're attacking your hustle right now. It seems that it seems like your hustle is on its last legs, right? It seems like your hustle is on its deathbed right now. As you can see, right, Felix Tshisekedi, he's trying to cut you out the equation, right? So instead of going to you, they trying to go directly to him. And now he has your biggest backer, the United States, your biggest backer, turning against you, sanctioning you, threatening to cut you off. So listen, man, word of advice. Listen, it's time to diversify the economy, man. You can't depend on simply tourism and mineral trafficking forever, bro. You got to diversify the economy. Start investing in the tech sector. You know, go all in on the agriculture, right? You got to do something else, bro. You got to do something else, man. This can't go on forever, bro. And what's going to happen when the Congo gets its affairs in order? What are you going to do then? What are you going to do when the Congo is effectively able to secure their borders? What are you going to do, right? What are you going to do at that point, right? So listen, you got to plan for the future. That's what a great leader should do. Plan for the future, right? So listen, man, that's my word of advice to Kagame. Diversify the economy, bro. Diversify the economy, right? It's looking like it's dark days ahead. Anyways, man, it's your boy Nefikari. That's Salim back in the building. Yes, indeed. Album out now. Album available everywhere. Apple Music, Spotify. Go to the homepage on my YouTube channel. Go to my playlist section. Sahel 1816. Album out now. And I'm gone. Peace.
Told me she loved me and said that it's real. So independent, ain't signing no deal. Feel like a king and I'm up at Cap Henry. I'm in the citadel, top of the hill. Trying to run up, but we let off a cannon. Secret location, I'm keeping it sealed. You ain't retaliate, Franco Medina came to the country and he got killed. You ain't retaliate, Rafi and Mans. Thought you was law, thought you was real. Didn't even want to come pick up the body. Had your man locked up, he died in the cell. Up at the palace, I'm throwing a party. Right on the south and I'm giving them hell. And my little shorty, she looking exotic. African features, she casting a spell. Run to the check like I work on my fitness. Wake up each morning and handle my business. Say that she love me, she want my genetics. Wanna get married and make it official. Wanna get married and have all my babies. Up in the city, I'm riding Mercedes. Up in the city, they treat me like royalty. Feeling like Dolph, talking about lords. Spreading my wings and I had to get fly. Up in the top, an incredible vibe. Came from the bottom, I'm up in the sky. Everyone look and said, baby, you fine. Wake up each morning and handle my business. They just be talking, you see me, I live it. Ride on my enemies, sounding like thunder. 1804, got that shit in my spirit. 1804 when I step in the building. 1804, that's word of my mother. Rock my women and die for my brother. Never gon' fall when I'm deep under pressure. Tell them we back and they better accept it. Move like a king, every step is divine. Ride on my enemies with no exception. Taking revenge and I'm taking what's mine. Pour up a drink and it's time that we toast. Watching my back, keep my enemies close. Only the family, I stick with my brothers. Cannon's position outside of the coast. Heavy artillery for the protection. Move like a general, stick to the code. Feel like a king when I'm up in the north. Beautiful women, they trying to get chose. Launch an invasion all over the south. Capture the capital with all my woes. Look at my energy and my demeanor. Dripping that ice and that's head to my toes. Lately I'm flexing all on the Americans. Flexing my muscle on missing my road. Just got a carriage just coming from London. Boy, that shit cash, I ain't taking no loans. Boy, that shit cash, that's fresh on the boat. Enemy know I got millions in gold. Enemy know I got choppers and cannons. How did I do it? They can't understand it. How did I do it? It's cause I'm relentless. Call me King Harry, my name is cemented. Call me King Harry, I'm up in the palace. Call me King Harry, I'm raising the status.